importante sa akin ngayon. Hindi masira yung relationship namin ni Bel at yung communication namin ni Tyrone.
Sa nangyayari ngayon, mukhang mas mapapalayo pa sa yung mga anak mo. Lalo na pag nalaman nila ang sikreto.
So ano, tuluyan na napunta kay Rosel at kay Tyrone yung kayamanan ni Jacinta. Ano, paano tayo? Olats pa rin.
Matagal na natin alam na mas pinapaboran ni ate yung dalawa, hindi ba?
God, yun nga. Kaya nga bakit hindi pa tayo kumikilos? Bakit wala tayong ginagawa?
Hindi naman ganun kadali yun di ba? Mahirap tayong kumilos ngayon, lalo pat may nangyari dun sa dalawa kay Tyrone at Rosel. Dapat timing tayo. Timingan natin, bagulin natin, simulan yung plano natin.
Hindi ko na alam, Wesley. Sunod-sunod na mga problema namin. Bukod sa hiwalay na si Mommy at si Dad, problemado rin kami sa pera.
Bel, paano ba kita matutulungan?
Wesley, sapat na sa akin na nandito ka. Nakikinig, dinadamayan pa ako. Gumagaan naman yung pakiramdam ko Oo nga pala, kailangan kong maghanap ng trabaho.
Ha? Bel, paano studies mo? Tsaka graduating tayo.
Baka di na ako makatapos this year. Baka nga, di nga ako makapag-enroll sa next SEM. Wesley, bagsak na talaga kami. Kailangan ko na talaga kumilos para matulungan ko si Mommy.
Hello, guys! Kamusta kayo? Is that Chanel you're wearing? Are you kidding? Paano naman mangyayari yun? Saan siya kukuha ng pambili, di ba? I guess it's a fake.
Alam nyo, yun yung problema sa inyo Akala nyo na mahirap ako noon? Hindi na ako makakabangon?
Hindi ka lang mahirap. Sinungaling ka pa.
Scammer! What a fake! No. Fake, no. Lahat ng nakikita nyo ngayon, this is not fake. This is the real Tally. No filters, no cap, luxury, success lahat.
Pero deserve ko to. Really now? Mamaya niloloko mo lang kami, Tali. All that drama for a prank? Come on, Tali.
Prank no more. Here's the proof. Mamaya samahan niyo ako. Ipapakita ko sa inyo yung mansyon ko. Napakaganda. Ano? I'll see you? Tingnan na lang natin. Kung hindi kayo lahat, mamatay sa inggit. See you later.
Yes, Belle. Dito mo na lang ako puntahan sa favorite restaurant ko. Huwag mo kalimutan yung pinapadala ko sa'yo, ha? Okay.
Bakit dito ka pa nag-aya, ate? Na-decline na nga yung card mo kanina. Hindi lang isa, ha? Lahat.
Meron pa akong cash dito. Huwag kang maingay dyan. Baka marinig ka ng iba. Saka huwag ka na masyadong mag-alala. Ako nang bahala, okay? You know, I may be poor, but not everyone has to know.
Okay.
Ano bang gusto mong orderin? Sige na, just order whatever you want. Magtatawag na ako ng waiter.
I think
Waiter!
I want filet mignon.
Mrs. Almendras, nice to see you again.
Fred, there you are. Nako, pasensya na ha. Ngayon na lang ako nakabalik ulit kasi medyo na-busy ako eh.
Oh, buti naman at naalala mo pa kami, madam. So what are you gonna have today?
The usual place for me. And then, siya daw filet mignon. Ako, champagne, no? Bottle of champagne. Yes, a bottle of champagne because we're celebrating something today.
That's great! Because you can order anything you want dahil may magbabayad na ng bill nyo later.
Wait, are you kidding me?
No, madam. This is not a joke.
Nako, parang kilala ko na kung sino to. Sino ba tong generous na to? Is this Chito? Is he here? Where is he?
Sorry, madam, pero hindi po si Sir Chito. Isa rin pong madam na katulad nyo ang nag-offer para i-treat kayo. In fact, she's right over there.
Yung babaeng yun? Are you sure?
Yes, ma'am. Siya nga at wala nang iba.
Pero paano nangyari yun? Eh, mas mahirap pa yan sa daga.
Pero ate, parang ibang-iba na siya ngayon. Parang sumusyal.
The hell? Alamin ko nga kung ano tong kalokohan na to.
Look at our place. Super ganda, di ba? Welcome to our mansion. Ano masasabi niyo?
It's nice.
Well, may nagpamana kasi ng napakalaking kayamanan sa mommy ko. Kaya, eto, but I won't bore you the details na.
So, what are we doing here?
I want to be your friend again. I want to be part of the group, diba? Pass this fast. Come on, guys. What do you say? Oh, tara, upo na kayo. Come on, ipapatry ko sa inyo yung binake ng mommy ko. Okay? Ate Nelia, pakilabas na po yung cake. Yung binake ni mommy. Ako, super yummy talaga yun.
Well. Look who we have here. Naligaw ka yata sa lugar na to.
Ria, kamusta ka? Gusto mo akong saluhan?
No, why would I? Pero in fairness, ha? Iba na nga ang itsura mo. I have to admit, hindi kita nakilala agad.
Gusto ko nga magpasalamat sa'yo. Kasi kung hindi dahil dun sa ginawa mo, hindi ako makakapagpagupit ng buhok. Diba bago na yung hairstyle ko? Mas bagay sa akin, diba?
Actually, bagay na bagay. Pero siguro mas bagay sa'yo kung kinalbo na kita.
Maraming nakatanim ng magagandang alaala dito. Dito sa hotel na to. Sa Hotel 88.
Sabi mo, may mahalaga kang sasabihin sa amin.
Gusto namin bilhin yung parte niyo.
Sino naman nagsabi magbebenta kami?
Alam mo, Via, hindi mo na ako mabubuli. Wala ka ng kakayahan.
Alam mo, kahit baguhin mo pa ang itsura mo, kahit isuot mo pa ang pinakamahal na damit at alahas, hindi mo mababago ang katotohanan na isa kang mang-aagaw ng asawa.
Wala na bang bago? Paulit-ulit na lang yung sinasabi mo eh. At saka, napagsawaan niya sa social media. Kung ako sa'yo, pasalamatan mo na lang ako.
Pasalamatan? Pasalamatan saan? Sa pang-aagaw ng asawa ko?
Dahil nilibre ko kayo ng lunch.
Excuse me, I can buy my own lunch. Hindi ko kailangan ng pera mo. Besides, hindi ko nga alam kung saan ang galing ang pera mo eh.
Oh, we have company.
Madam,
Is she joining us?
ay naku madam, inimbitahan ko nga pero ayaw naman.
Well,
Kita mo ha? Iniiba mo pa yung usapan? Sabi ko, hindi ko alam kung saan galing ang pera mo.
Pinamanahan kami ni Madam Jacinta. Lahat ng mga negosyo ni Madam, kami na namamahala. Kamusta na nga pala yung negosyo ninyo? Balita ko, bagsak na. Kaya nga nilibre ko kayo ng lunch kasi baka mamaya hindi nyo na ma-afford dito sa restaurant na to.
Pakayot ka? Walang yung babae ka? Walang yan! Ha? Ang kapal mo ka mo, ipahiya ako dito!
Mia, tama na! Ano? Ah!
Madam!
Mommy! Mommy, okay ka na?
Tay, parang kinakabahan ako. Laki kasi ng responsibilidad na binigay sa akin ni Madam Jacinta. Baka di ko lang mapanindigan.
Oh, bakit yan ang pumapasok sa isip mo? Hindi dapat ganyan ang attitude, anak. Alam mo, hindi lahat nabibigyan ng ganyang klaseng pagkakataon. Dapat magpursige ka lalo. Dapat maging challenge yan sa'yo lalo. Kaya dapat huwag kang kabahan.
Tay, kaya nga ako pressured eh.
Alam mo, anak, may tiwala ako sa'yo. Pati si Madam Jacinta may tiwala sa'yo. Kaya nga sa'yo binigay eh. Pero huwag mo na masyadong isipin yan. Ang dapat mong isipin at ang dapat mong alagaan, yung puso mo. Marami ka ng pinagdaanan.
Bakit naman po?
Alam mo, dahil sa opportunity na to, magbabago buhay mo. May iba yung estado mo sa buhay. So, kailangan magstay humble ka. Magalang ka sa mga matatanda. Maging mabait ka sa mahihirap.
Tay, huwag kayo mag-alala. Hindi po ang turo sa akin ni nanay na huwag kalilimutang tumuntong sa lupa kahit anong mangyari. Na magkaroon ng puso para sa lahat. Lalo na sa mahihirap. Kung saan kami nanggaling.
Bella na!
Mommy,
Baka walang ya talaga ng babaeng yan! Tinulak niya ako!
hindi kita tinulak. Hindi naman po kailangan umabot sa ganito eh.
Anak, tinulak niya ako kasi ginagantihan niya talaga ako sa ginawa ko sa kanya dati.
Hindi totoo yan.
Sinungaling ka! Dinidinay mo pa ngayon, ha? Nagbabait-baita ka pero ang totoo, nasa loob yung kasamaan mo. Ano, gusto mo pa akong saktan, ha? Sige, sige, saktan mo pa ako, sige!
super acting ka naman, Via. Tigil-tigilan mo yan. Walang mag-aabot ng award sa'yo dito. Sa kapangan niya pa.
Mommy.
Napakasama mo, Rosel! Kakarmahin ka din. Makakarma ka din!
Dito na po tayo, madam.
Madam, tama po ba yung ginawa ko? Nakaganti na po ako kay Via. Naipamukha ko na sa kanya na mayaman na ako at siya naman itong mahirap.
Tama lang yung ginawa mo. Mabuti nga yun eh. Para hindi na siya manghamak ng kapwa niya.
Pero madam, kung patuloy ko itong gagawin, edi parang ginagaya ko na yung masama niyang ugali noon. Hindi po ganun yung pagkatao ko. Hindi po ako ganun. Tsaka isa pa po, nalulungkot ako kasi nataglamay si Ben. Masama na po talaga yung tingin niya sa akin.
Bakit ba kailangan mong indahin yung iisipin niya? Eh sino ba si Ben? Anak lang siya ni Via, tapos ampun pa.
Madam, mabait na bata si Ben. Nalulungkot po ako dahil alam ko na nasasaktan siya at nahihirapan siya sa mga nangyayari sa pamilya niya. Sige. Salamat. Chris, wala si Tyrone dito, nasa shop.
Alam ko. Ikaw naman sadya ko eh. Okay lang?
Bakit? Tungkol saan ba to?
Wala. Naikwento lang ni Madam Jacinta. Happy ako para kay Tyrone.
Anak mo din naman siya.
Salamat dahil napalaki mo siya na maayos.
Pasensya na, Chris, ha? Kasi meron pa akong kailangan gawin eh. Puntahan mo na lang si Tyrone sa shop. Tsaka isa pa kasi parating na rin si Darius.
Walay na kami ni Via.
Darius, paano makakita sa atin dito? Ano ka ba?
Darius, patunayan mo sa akin na ako pa rin ang mas gusto mo kahit na mas mayaman na si Rosel sa akin.
Ababaliw ka na ba? May makakita. Hindi ito yung tamang lugar. Ano ka ba?
Darius, nasa kanya na kasi lahat eh. Ikaw, tapos pati yung anak ko nasa kanya.
Ano pinagsasasabi mo?
Basta, akin ka pa rin, ha? Basta isi-celebrate natin yung anniversary natin, ha? Ipaghahanda kita.
Oo na. Pupunta ako dun. Sige,
Sige.
usap tayo. Kailangan natin maglayla Melania.
Tali.
Ha? Bakit? Akala ko ba aayusin mo yung problema ng pamilya ninyo?
Kaya eh. Ginawa ko naman lahat eh. Isa pa, ayoko magsinungaling sa'yo. Alam mo naman na meron pa ako nararamdaman hanggang ngayon. Para sa'yo.
Alam mo din namang walang pupuntahan yan, diba?
Alam ko. Hindi naman ako maasa eh.
Dapat lang. May asawa na ako. Masaya ako kay Darius. At ayokong sirain ko ano man ang meron ko ngayon. Chris, simula ngayong araw na to, iiwasan na kita. Pero pwede ka makapagkita kay Tyrone dahil ikaw ang ama niya. Pero hanggang doon na lang yun.
Excuse me.
Daddy,
Ano ba? Pwede bang bitawan mo ako?
anong binabaliwala mo na ako, ha? Porke mayaman ka na? Ha? Masaya ka na kay Rosel?
Kung talagang anak mo ko, pwede ba maging masaya ka na lang para sa akin? Kesa naman sa'yo, ano bang mapapala ko sa'yo, ha?
So ano, pinagmamalakihan mo na ako? Ha? Ganun ba yon?
Teka, ano ba yung pinuputok ng butsi mo?
Sige, pagpatuloy mong baliwalain ako. Sasabihin ko kay Rosel na sila ni Belle ang totoo na mag-ina. At ikaw, peking anak ka. Ano? Handa ka ba na mawala lahat ng meron ka ngayon? Ha? Yan. Ganyan. Kasi dapat matuto kang rumispeto sa totoo mong ina.
Mami, tama na yan.
Ano po, Ben? Bitawan mo ko!
Mami, please, tama na yan.
Sinabi na pabayaan mo ko! Ito na lang yung paraan ko para makalimutan ko yung mga kamalasan na nangyayari sa atin. Bagsak na tayo, Bel. Wala na ang daddy mo. Lugi na yung negosyo natin. Walang-wala na tayo.
Pero mami, hindi alak ang solusyon.
Bakit ba lahat na lang ng meron ako? Lahat napunta na kay Rosel. Bakit? Bakit ganun?
Sige na, Mami. Mami, tutulungan tayo, okay? Okay na, Mami.
Hindi ako papayag na maungusan ng Rosel na yun. Dapat makaahon tayo, Ben. Kakantihan natin sila. Isinusumpa ko. Hindi dito nagtatapos ang laban. Hindi dito.
Oh, ayan.
Para saan to?
Para manahimik ka.
So sinusuhulan mo yung sarili mong ina?
Eh, di ba yan naman yung gusto mo?
Oo, pera, pero hindi barya-barya. Di mo talaga ako kilala.
Ano ba talagang gusto mong mangyari, ha? Ang sabihin kay Rosel na totoong anak niya si Belle? Para ano? Itakwil ako? Bakit hindi ba pwedeng maging masaya ka na lang para sa akin? Na tinitingala na ulit ako ng mga kaibigan ko na bumabalik na yung amor nila para sa akin.
Wow. Tali, ang gaga mo rin, no? Kung yun lang yung gusto mong mangyari, marating, ha? Alam mo, ang dami pa nating pwedeng makuha kay Rosel at kay Jacinta. At yun yung pagpaplanuhan natin.
So, anong plano?
Well, pag nanakawan mo sila. Pero paunti-unti, saka tutuluan naman kita eh. Huwag kang mag-alala, ako bahala sa'yo. Pero for now, kukunin ko muna tong binigay mo para may pang-anniversary dinner kami ng Tita Darius mo.
God, nakakadiri kayo. Alam mo ba yon?
Tali, remember yung pinag-usapan natin. Kasi kung hindi ka susunod, alam mo na mangyayari.
Madam. Sobra-sobra naman yata yung pagsisilbi mo sa akin. Meron naman tayong way para mag-serve yan.
Hayaan mo na. Gusto ko tong gawin para sa'yo. Ayan.
Salamat.
Alam mo, kahit nagbago na yung buhay natin, yung pagmamahal ko sa'yo, hindi magbabago yun.
Sige. Love you.
Oh, dali, tikman mo na yung cake. Diba paborito mo yan? Sarap yan.
Nakaba ako nito eh.
Hayaan mo na, minsan lang naman. Mamaya na yan. Tapusin mo na muna yung pagkain mo.
Paano kung malaman niya yung sikreto ko?
Anong sikreto?
Promise niyo sa akin na hindi kayo magagalit sa akin.
Yung asawa mo, ang dalas-dalas na umaalis.
Di malinaw, hindi naman natin alam saan.
Adela, kasi maraming gustong patunayan si Darius, kaya hinahayaan ko siya. Siyempre, ayoko naman siya mawalan ng dignidad.
Napakalandi mo! Puputulin ko yung kasamaan mo para sa ganun, wala ka nang gagawin sa panloloko mo!
Amsterdam in 1667 was the richest city in the world, a place where merchants commanded fleets that circled the globe, where more books were published than in all of France, where religious refugees found sanctuary, and where a middle-class painter named Rembrandt had just died in relative poverty, despite creating some of history's greatest masterpieces. This was the golden age at its absolute peak, a city of just 200,000 souls that controlled a trading empire stretching from New Amsterdam on the Hudson River to the Spice Islands of Indonesia, from the slave posts of West Africa to the trading factories of Japan. The canals teemed with ships carrying pepper, silk, sugar, and tulip bulbs. Wealth flowed through counting houses where double-entry bookkeeping was transforming capitalism itself. Yet beneath the prosperity lurked poverty, religious tension, and the constant threat of war with England and France. Today, advanced AI technology allows us to transform 17th century paintings, engravings, and maps into photorealistic recreations, bringing this lost world back to life. Join me as we step into the Amsterdam our ancestors once knew, a city that invented modern finance, pioneered religious tolerance, and proved that a republic of merchants could rival the great monarchies of Europe. The harbor, gateway to the world. Stand on the waterfront near the I.J. Harbor in 1667, and you're witnessing the busiest port in Europe, perhaps the world. The water is a forest of mass, hundreds of ships crowding the harbor, massive East Indiamen returning from months-long voyages to Asia, smaller flights carrying Baltic timber and grain, fishing boats from the North Sea, warships of the Dutch Navy. Watch that East India Company ship being unloaded. Its hold contains treasures that will transform European life. Pepper and cloves from the Moluccas, porcelain and silk from China, cotton textiles from India, coffee from Java. The spices alone are worth their weight in silver. A single successful voyage can make investors wealthy beyond imagination, though risks are enormous. Ships sink, crews die from disease, pirates attack. Perhaps 1 in 3 voyages fails completely, but the successful ones generate such profits that merchants keep investing. The Dutch East India Company, the VOC, is the world's first true multinational corporation. It issues shares that can be bought and sold on the Amsterdam Stock Exchange, the world's first formal stock market. The VOC has its own army, its own fleet, and authority to negotiate treaties and wage war. It's a profit-seeking enterprise with the powers of a sovereign state, making Amsterdam unimaginably wealthy. But look closer at the human cost. Those ships also carry enslaved people from West Africa to the Caribbean and Brazil. The VOC maintains brutal control over the Spice Islands, imposing monopolies, destroying competitors' crops, massacring resistors. The wealth flowing through Amsterdam is built on violence and exploitation on an industrial scale. The harbor itself is an engineering marvel. Amsterdam sits on swampy ground reclaimed from the sea through dikes and windmills. The entire city is built on millions of wooden pilings driven deep into mud. The canal system, expanded massively in the early 1600s, creates both transportation network and elegant residential districts. The smell is overwhelming. Salt water and tar, fish and exotic spices, hemp rope and sewage. The noise is constant. Sailors shouting in a dozen languages, cargo being loaded, ships' bells, hammers from shipyards where new vessels are constantly under construction. The canals, liquid streets of gold. Walk along the Herengracht, the Gentleman's Canal, and you're strolling through one of the world's most elegant neighborhoods. The canal houses rise 4 or 5 stories, narrow but deep. Their distinctive gabled facades decorated in Renaissance and classical styles. These aren't just homes, they're statements of wealth, each merchant competing to build something grander than his neighbors. Look at the architecture. The facades are narrow because property taxes are based on street frontage, encouraging tall, deep buildings. Those hooks jutting from the top? They're for hoisting furniture and goods to upper floors via the exterior because the staircases inside are too narrow and steep. The interiors are surprisingly luxurious. Oak paneling, expensive wallpaper, paintings covering walls. Delftware pottery fills cabinets. These merchants collect art voraciously. A successful trader might own 30 or 40 paintings, creating private galleries showcasing Dutch mastery of light and everyday life. But the canals themselves are less romantic than tourists imagine. They're working waterways used for transportation, commerce, and unfortunately, sewage disposal. Chamber pots are emptied into canals. Industrial waste flows in from breweries, tanneries, and dye works. The water is brown, foul-smelling, occasionally choked with garbage. In summer, the stench is overwhelming. In winter, when canals freeze solid, they become impromptu highways and skating rinks. Walk the streets and notice the diversity. Amsterdam is a magnet for immigrants and refugees. Portuguese Jews fleeing the Inquisition have established a thriving community, building magnificent synagogues. Philosopher Baruch Spinoza lives here, grinding lenses while revolutionizing Western thought with radical ideas about God and nature that scandalize traditional believers. French Huguenots, Protestant refugees fleeing Catholic persecution, have brought textile skills. Germans, Scandinavians, even some English, all find opportunity here. The city's relative religious tolerance attracts talent that enriches economy and culture. You'll hear multiple languages on every street, see different styles of dress, observe various religious practices coexisting in ways impossible in most European cities. Rembrandt, beauty and bankruptcy. Walk through the Jordaan, a working-class neighborhood, and you'll find where Rembrandt van Rijn died just 2 months ago in October 1667. His death received little notice. The man who painted the Night Watch and countless masterpieces died in relative obscurity and poverty, his grand house seized by creditors years earlier. Rembrandt's fall illustrates artistic success's precarious nature. In the 1640s, he was Amsterdam's most celebrated painter, commanding high prices, living luxuriously. But his style, dramatic lighting and psychological depth, fell out of fashion. Commissions dried up. His spending didn't adjust. By 1656, he declared bankruptcy. The inventory of his possessions reveals extraordinary culture. Paintings by Italian masters, classical sculptures, exotic weapons, shells and minerals, prints by Dürer and Mantegna. All sold to pay creditors, and Rembrandt spent his final years painting for dealers on commission. But Dutch painting in 1667 is flourishing. Unlike Italian or French art serving church and court, Dutch painting serves the middle class. Merchants, shopkeepers, even prosperous artisans commission portraits, buy landscapes, collect genre scenes. The market produces thousands of paintings annually. Walk into any middle-class home, and you'll see paintings covering walls, serene landscapes, seascapes showing ships, still lifes of flowers and food, genre scenes of taverns and households. Art is democratic here, no longer the exclusive preserve of nobility and church. Artists like Johannes Vermeer in Delft are creating masterpieces that won't be fully appreciated for centuries. Vermeer's domestic interiors sell for modest prices to local patrons. He's struggling financially, forced to run an art dealing business. He'll die in debt in 1675. The threat of war, England and France. In 1667, Amsterdam faces external threats. The Second Anglo-Dutch War is in its final year, a conflict over trade routes and colonial possessions. Just months ago, in June 1667, the Dutch Navy achieved a stunning victory. The raid on the Medway, sailing into the Thames estuary, burning English warships and towing away the Royal Navy flagship. It's the worst defeat in English naval history. The raid demonstrates Dutch naval prowess, but also reveals the stakes. This is existential struggle between two Protestant maritime powers competing for global trade control. The peace treaty signed at Breda in July 1667 gives New Amsterdam to England, where it becomes New York, while the Dutch gain Suriname and favorable trade terms. But a larger threat looms: France. Louis XIV is building French power relentlessly. In just 5 years, in 1672, France will invade, nearly destroying the Dutch state in what the Dutch call the Rampjaar, the disaster year. Only by opening the dikes and flooding the countryside will the Dutch stop the French advance. Amsterdam's prosperity depends on peace and open trade. The city's wealth makes it a target, and its republican government seems vulnerable to absolute monarchies surrounding it. Yet the Dutch have advantages: naval power, financial sophistication, and desperate determination of a small nation that must innovate to survive. The reality behind the Golden Age. Amsterdam in 1667 is a city of contradictions. It's wealthy beyond measure yet vulnerable. It's religiously tolerant yet still exclusionary. It produces sublime art while many artists struggle. It pioneers capitalism while exploiting colonized peoples across the globe. Walking these streets means encountering both magnificence and misery. The canal houses are elegant, but working-class neighborhoods are crowded and unsanitary. The paintings celebrate domestic virtue, but real households face disease and child mortality. The trading empire brings spices and silk, but it's built on slavery and violence. Yet something genuinely remarkable is happening. A small republic is proving that representative government can work, that religious tolerance is economically advantageous, and that capitalism can generate unprecedented wealth. These aren't abstract lessons, but lived realities, visible in Amsterdam's streets, canals, and institutions. Understanding Amsterdam in 1667 helps us grasp both the promise and problems of modernity. This is where capitalism matures, where global trade networks form, where art becomes democratic. But it's also where colonialism's brutality and inequality's persistence reveal themselves starkly. This was Amsterdam in 1667, the richest city in the world at the height of its golden age. If you enjoyed this step back in time, please hit the subscribe button so you don't miss where we're going next. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the past.